is in your hands. My life is in your hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able. My life is in your hands. My life is in your hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able.
To my show called Inspired Blessings with Jean Marie Prince, and today my guest is Jackie Pecora. Thank you so much for coming, and she's the president of the Children's Heart Foundation, New York chapter.
Yes.
Yes. And we know how important children are, and because they are our future and should be given the chance to live, and that is why your organization is so important.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I just want to say
Sure.
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no
it
problem.
means a lot to not only me, but all of the CHD community.
Well, I love children.
I do.
I mean, I actually sometimes become one of the children when I'm playing with them. So it's just important, and we got to give them a fighting chance.
Exactly.
So when the Children's Heart Foundation, who founded it and by whom?
So the Children's Heart Foundation was founded in 1996 by a woman named Betsy Peterson. It's a national organization. The national office is located in Chicago, and there are chapters all over the country, and those chapters are volunteer chapters.
Now, when you talk about chapters, would there be more than one chapter in one state?
No.
Okay.
So New York has the New York chapter, and it's not just Long Island and New York City, it's the entire state of New York.
Okay.
And our chapter was, in 2009, it was founded. It was, it was a developing chapter. A woman named Beatrice Collado and her family got it going, and then in 2011, it was established as a chapter.
Now, the thing is, sometimes organizations get started because it was a personal experience, a personal heart-wrenching story sometimes, where was it what, Beatrice, I think was it, that founded this?
Mm-hmm.
Did she have any children that had any kind of
yes,
problems?
She did. She had a daughter named Charlie, who passed away from a CHD.
How old?
She was an infant. Yeah, she was an infant, Charlie. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very, very sad. Beautiful family, and they were very passionate about making a difference. And
explain to me, what does the Children's Heart Foundation? I know they do research. What kind of research do they do?
okay, well, the Children's Heart Foundation funds the most promising and the most vital research for the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of congenital heart defects. Over 40,000 babies a year are born with congenital heart defects. It's the #1 birth defect. Did you know that?
No.
Well, so many people do not know that congenital heart defects are the #1 birth defect.
I'm not, let's say, a doctor or a nurse, so just congenital heart, if you can explain a little bit more, what is that?
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you an example, and it's my personal story. So, my husband and I got married, and for 7 years tried to have a baby, and then we're really excited to find out that we were having twins. We were having a boy and a girl. We had already named them Keith and Chloe. An amazing experience. And then after they were born, my daughter was scooped up. We were in Good Sam Hospital, Good Samaritan in West Islip. And Chloe was sent to, it was Snyder's Children at the time, but it's now Cohen's Children. And she was diagnosed with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, HLHS. newborn.
Oh, newborn.
Newborn.
Okay. Wow,
Okay. So, you know, at that point, my husband and I were, you know, we were devastated because, first of all, there's never been, you know, birth defect in our family or any heart issues. And so here we are faced with this, and we were told that hypoplastic left heart syndrome could, you know, Chloe could have had 3 open heart surgeries. So here she is, newborn.
Right.
She had her first open heart surgery, and she was 3 days old, and she made it through. Even though she was a month premature, you know, she was only 4.9 pounds when she was born, and but she developed a blood infection and she passed at 9 days.
Yeah.
So that was 17 years ago.
I was going to ask you if you had a connection to why you were. Okay.
So that's my connection.
Sure.
So, but I am really grateful that her brother, Keith, is with us. He's heart healthy. He's a great kid. You know, after that happened, you know, my husband and I, we were, you know, we were devastated. And the thing is that here we had this baby, Keith.
Right.
You know, we had to raise him, you know, without being raised under a veil of grief, and to be a happy child.
Right.
You know, and so I think we've done a pretty good job. He's a great kid. He definitely helps out with, you know, different fundraisers for CHF.
Yeah, and it's got to be sad for him because he wouldn't know that he would have a twin sister.
Well, he knows, believe me. He, you know, it's funny, just the other day, you know, I think our kids really amaze us. He asked me for a cross. He wanted a cross, you know, stainless steel, sterling silver, and he wanted to put Chloe's name on the cross. And yeah, and he kind of bugged me about it. He was really serious. So we got it, and we just got it the other night. And yeah, I'm really passionate about funding CHD research because it's underfunded, and you know, so many amazing breakthroughs have happened in the last 10 years, but there's a lot that has to be done.
So who are the ones that are doing the research? Are these doctors that you, you know, pay to do the research, or you get grants? And but who's actually doing the research?
All right. Well, I'll explain the process. So what the Children's Heart Foundation does is we put out an RFP, a request for proposal, and we do that every year. That happens in January, and then researchers all over the country, actually globally, because we have gotten research proposals from out of the country, but researchers, you know, surgeons, doctors, cardiologists, you know, they all send in proposals. Could be from hospitals all over like Boston Children's and New York Presbyterian and CHOP, and you know, which is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, all over, send us proposals. We have a medical advisory board that is made up of you know, researchers and medical staff from all over the country, and they review the research proposals that come in. Because, you know, there are over 40 congenital heart defects, and they're, you know, different researchers are working on different things. You know, there are researchers that are working clinically and genetically, and you know, who's working on stem cells, who's working on valves, who's working on, you know, different issues that come up with kids that, you know, that include behavior and neurological issues. So there's so much really that goes into it. And I think the important thing to realize with congenital heart defects is it's not acquired heart disease where, if you're maybe a smoker, or maybe you don't eat, you don't eat healthy, and maybe whatever. It's not acquired. It's congenital, meaning you're born with it. Okay? But that doesn't mean that everybody finds out at infancy that there's a congenital heart defect. I was just talking to a young man yesterday. He gave me a call because he just wanted to say thank you. I've been following him. He found out as a young adult that him and his parents thought he had asthma for his whole entire life, and he was taking asthma medicine. Turns out that he had a congenital heart defect, and please don't ask me what one, because I don't remember. Actually, yeah. Anyway, but he had surgery. He had open heart surgery, and so when I first met him, it was a few years ago. He had the open heart surgery, and everything was good to go at that point. But if you have a congenital heart defect, you need to be followed for your whole entire life. So what happened is, a couple years later, he had to have an additional open heart surgery, and then a little bit after that, he had to have another one. So he's going through his healing process right now. He sounds really, really great. I'm very happy to hear that he's doing well, and it's just all these stories that I hear.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, so what is the success so far since the research had been founded and things like that they've been able to solve or figure out anything?
Well, success-wise, I would say that one of the ways to determine success with this is that there are more adults with congenital heart defects today than there ever have been. So that means that these children that are born with the CHDs are growing into adulthood and thriving. So that is a really, really great thing. I would say, I'm not a medical professional, but I believe the statistic is, in the 90 percentile that a congenital heart defect, can. That person can survive the congenital heart defect. I really believe that if Chloe was born today, I believe she'd be with us. Right.
Is a pacemaker one of them?
Yes, definitely.
Because my grandfather, this was way back when, and I always remember, I could tell when my grandfather was in the room because you would hear his pacemaker tick, tick,
Oh,
So he lived, I'd have to say probably, I'd say in his late 70s.
So do you know when he got the pacemaker?
It was a long time ago, because now the pacemakers today, I don't think you would hear a person in the room if they had a pacemaker.
I don't think so, no.
But you heard the dripping or something like that. So you always heard that ticking sound.
I know. I know kids. I can think of two right off the bat who have pacemakers. And, they're thriving, they're doing really well, but they have the pacemaker. So, funding research, what if we could find something where, the pacemaker could be smaller, or, it could grow with the child as they grow, One of the things that I hear parents talk about all the time is, just the fact that they have to have these continual operations. It's invasive. It's scary.
Right, sure. But no, your research is very important. Now, I understand that you also partner with other organizations to kind of work together.
Right.
You were sharing?
All right. So, but before I tell you about that, I just want to finish the thought on the thought process on us doing the research.
Okay.
So we send out those RFPs, and then they come in, okay? And then what happens is once a year, after the medical advisory board reviews the research, then all of the presidents around the country from each of the chapters join the executive board of the Children's Heart Foundation and the national office, and then also medical advisors, and then we pour over the research that they have deemed to be the most vital and promising, and then we take the money that has been fundraised, and then we allocate it to the research. So I'll give you an example. In 2014, I believe, let me just check this really quick, we had 68 research proposals come in, which is quite a bit.
Okay.
All right, it equated to $10 million.
Wow.
Okay, so that's $10 million of research that's on the table, and then the Children's Heart Foundation was able to fund 1.1 million. So, which is really fabulous.
Okay.
But that's $9 million of research that we have an opportunity to fund somehow, some way. You know, I used to, you know, to me those numbers are just so, you know, magnified. And, you know, I used to think, oh, we have $9 million, that's underfunded. And then I changed my way of thinking, and now I'm saying that we have an opportunity to fund $9 million more, which we can do, you know, if we all work together. All right, so then you just asked me about our partners. We have, the CHD community is pretty large. But two of our main partners are the American Heart Association. In 2014, we formed a partnership with them, and that partnership is equates to $22.5 million of research over 7 years till 2021. The American Heart Association is the oldest and largest cardiovascular heart and stroke nonprofit, and for them to look at the Children's Heart Foundation as a viable, transparent partner, it's a really strong statement.
Right. So when you're getting the funding, you're getting the funding from the government. Is that where the funding comes from?
No, this funding comes from fundraising.
Yeah. How much in fundraising? What do you do? Like, what kind of fundraisers?
Okay, so the $22.5 million is not just coming from the Children's Heart Foundation. A portion of it is coming from from the American Heart Association, and a portion of it is coming from us. What do? We have walks, and that we have with our other partner, and that's the Adult Congenital Heart Association. All these, you know, acronyms. They're like, that's ACHA. That's a really, really powerful partnership also, because once these children grow up, and you know, and so many of them do, they need to know that, one, they always have to, you know, be continually checked by their you know, CHD physician, and that you know, they need a resource for the adults, okay? And that's what the Adult Congenital Heart Association is all about. They're about advocacy and education, and so these two organizations, CHF and ACHA, 6 years ago started the Congenital Heart Walk, which is really awesome. So we have almost 30 walks across the country, and 5 years ago we started the Long Island Walk, and that started in Bethpage, and we had about 136 people attend, and we raised about $36,000, which is really great.
I'm impressed because I thought you get like your funding from the government. So to think the fact that this is all done through fundraising.
Oh yeah.
Wow, impressed.
So, okay, so let me give you a little bit more information that's going to impress you.
Okay.
So 5 years later, we outgrew Bethpage State Park, and we had this walk. You know, we have it every year on Long Island, and this year we had over 1,000 attendees at Sunken Meadow State Park, and we raised $125,000.
Wow.
We were the highest grossing, the top grossing walk since inception, and I think the Michigan walk is maybe $800 more than us right now, or but we still have 2 more weeks to see if we can, you know, do something about that. But then we also have a New York City walk,
Right.
and that is that's not as old as the Long Island walk. We actually started that the year of Sandy, and so that one ended up this year. We had it in October, and we also raised over $100,000 for that walk, and we had about 500 attendees sign up.
Wow.
So now, just picture this: out of $225,000 raised, half of that money goes to CHF, and half of that money goes to the ACHA. So we have the opportunity to fund research proposals up to $100,000 under the CHF RFP. And so, you know, with these 2 walks alone,
Wow.
we did that.
Wow. So what do you do or how do you get it out there and promoting it? Do you have social media?
We have incredible social media. We have a social media. We have, first of all, we have a New York chapter Children's Heart Foundation Facebook page,
So if
which
people,
is
if people could like that, yes.
people could like that. That would be great. That's CHFNY. And then we also have the Congenital Heart Walk Long Island page,
Okay.
and then the Congenital Heart Walk New York City page.
Yeah, and so this way, if they like it, then they would be able to know when your different events are and things like that. Is there a
Right.
website as well?
There's a website as well.
What is that?
The national website, I like to give the national website just so that people can, you know, get a real feel of who we are, and that is it's childrensheartfoundation.org. And then the New York chapter is New York, and, you know, spelled out, .childrensheartfoundation.org.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, you must be looking for volunteers and things like that?
Definitely. We're definitely looking for volunteers.
And what would the volunteers be doing?
Well, right now we are, you know, I picture our chapter as a flower, you know, and I picture a watering can, you know, like making that flower grow.
Right.
And what would make that grow is people wanting to come onto our board. We are definitely looking for board members. We're also looking for committee members. You know, we have different committees like event committee, or committees that reach out to our medical community. And then also, you could also help out by just, you know, doing a little fundraising, you know, something in your own community. So we have a book called It's My Heart. Okay, that gives you all the information that you could possibly need about congenital heart defects. We also have a fundraising campaign called Change My Heart, and that is something that, you know, say you wanted to go to a business or a school, elementary school, middle school, whatever. You know, they could do a little Change My Heart fundraising initiative.
Right, right. For that you are, you know, doing this, and your foundation is doing this, and you know, of course, when you have the personal experience that's when you got more passion for what you're doing.
Right.
It's not just a job.
No, I really have a lot of passion, but I'm going to just say that, you know, the New York chapter, it's not about me, it's not my chapter. If you could just see, if you could just meet the people that are involved with what we're doing, they are so passionate, they're so, they have so much energy for it because it affects them, you know, and then their family, it affects them too. But, you know, there are other organizations like Mended Little Hearts. They help families with support. Gavin's Got Heart. They help families financially. And there's Wear Red or Go Naked, and Rihanna's Pulse. There are other organizations that are in the heart community.
Now, you were also saying in February is known as the Congenital Heart Week.
February 7th to 14th is Congenital Heart Defect Week. It's big for us because, you know, this is our time to get the awareness out. So, yeah, the biggest thing that I really would like people to know, you know, we just had our medical advisory board meeting in last month in Orlando, and we had 52 research proposals this time come in, and we had, you know, a certain amount of funding. We're going to be meeting next week as an executive board to just go over and approve everything that was discussed at that meeting. You know, so you'll know at that time what is being funded and how much we were able to allocate. But the thing is that if more people, I think if more people knew that congenital heart defects are the #1 birth defect, and that there is so much opportunity to fund research. There are so many people, you know, coming up with these great ideas, you know, that we could do more.
Definitely, definitely. So thank you so much. And you know, they're looking for volunteers. They're also looking for people to do these walks so they can be able to earn or to be able to raise money for this research. So if you want to get involved, go to the children'sheartfoundation.org, which is the national, and otherwise you could check out the New York chapter, which is newyork.children'sfoundation.org. And this way then you can contact Jackie, and then she'll be able to, you know, to be able to help her in the ways that it would help.
Can I just say one more thing? All right, the last thing I wanted to just say is that the parents, you know, in the New York area came up with a New York Heart Mom Facebook page and a New York Heart Dad Facebook page, which is really, really great. So if anyone needed support for congenital heart defects, that's the place to be.
So if you can like those pages as well. Okay, that's great. Thanks again. I appreciate it. So I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. If you could like my Inspired Blessings Facebook page, would appreciate it. And keep Inspired Blessings within arm's reach to help give you comfort when others are lost for words. Thank you, and God bless. www.jeanmarieprince.com.
With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible.
My life is in your hands. My life is in your hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able. My life is in your hands. My life is